Hello, Education 1030 students. So, last week you should have completed your Unit 2 capstone and the Unit 2 quiz closed as well. So, remember, those capstones are really count as part of our midterm. So, it's important for you to make sure that you're doing it. So, remember, the capstone is a written analysis. So, what that means is it's a paper essentially. But it's more than that, it's a narrative form. It's a chance for you to connect what you're learning in the chapters to your college experience. So when we say narrative form, we mean writing from your point of view, and you connect it back to the chapters. So it's important for you to do those. And we do them at the end of each unit. So remember, you are only allowed to make up one capstone in this course. I also had some questions about late submissions. So if you go back and look in the syllabus simply states that students are allowed to make up 2 chapter quizzes. You are allowed to make up to 2 chapter assignments. You can make up 2 chapter assignments in the entire term, as well as 1 unit capstone. All late assignments, students can only earn up to half the original credit for it. So if the appointment, say the assignment is worth 60 points, you could only earn up to 30 points. So if you have more than 2 late chapter assignments, you would choose which one that you would like to complete. If you are missing 2 quizzes, I'll go back and look and see, but you only can make up 2 quizzes in this term. So I encourage you to make sure that you're doing the capstones and you're keeping up with your assignment dates. So inside the syllabus is the course curriculum timeline, which has our dates. And also, if you look on the course homepage, and we kind of talked about this in the beginning, but I wanted to remind you, the calendar is on the course homepage, and it also shows you the dates that assignments are due and what's coming up, as well as any videos I put up. So each week I'll put up a video. I normally do it on Monday. I know the content opens on Friday. A lot of students don't start working on assignments till Monday. So on Monday I go ahead and put the video up, and it tells you kind of what to look for and what we'll be working on that week. So you know that Friday the content opens, and then on on Thursday, that's when everything is due. So I encourage you, if you haven't been watching the videos, please watch them. They're very useful. So now that we've gotten past Unit 2, we are starting Unit 3. So this will be our last unit in this course. So Unit 3 starts with Chapter 9. So Chapter 9 is about information literacy. So what information literacy is, it is a skill that your employers are looking for. So that just means you're able to take information, you can evaluate it, you can do research, and there's really 2 types of ways that you use information, right? So we have computer literacy, we have media literacy, and we also have cultural literacy. And that's what we're going to be working on. How do you collect your information? How do you evaluate it? How do you use information? And this is not just talking about academics. So this is a skill that your employers are going to look for. Also, when we're talking about information literacy, we're talking about like speaking. So if you're taking a, say, communications class, speech communications, you probably will have to present or have them presenting speeches. So that's also going to be a skill that employers are looking for. So as always, here I always give you a synopsis or kind of an overview of what you're going to be doing. So you have learning resources. So obviously I want you to read Chapter 9, and then I also want you to complete your reading organizer. As I've mentioned, the reading organizers are there for your benefit. They're a study tool. You've only had to turn in one of the reading organizers this entire term thus far. So they're really a formal outline, if you will, which pulls out the most important parts of the chapter, the text. So make sure you're doing that after you read Chapter 9, or you can fill it out as you're reading Chapter 9. So it depends on what type of learner you are, which we discussed back in Chapter 4. But it's however you feel most comfortable when you're studying. You also will have an assignment. So in the assignment this week, if you'll scroll down, the box is chapter assignments. You're going to have something called a case study, okay? So what a case study is, it's usually based off of real experiences and real people, okay? And they have pseudonym names, so the name's not correct. But the case study that you're going to be following is about Jane, and Jane is a college student, her first year, and she's in a course just like you, the college experience course. And Jane has to complete a PowerPoint presentation on a research topic. So she had been either given a topic or chose a topic to research. So after she does her research, she has to put together a presentation that has to be 10 minutes long. So she actually has 3 weeks to complete this assignment and prepare for it, which is usually a pretty good amount of time to work on an assignment. However, she obviously, it even goes further in here, but she had to work overtime on the weekends, so she works and goes to school. And then she decided she's going to go on a day trip with her family to the beach. So you can imagine that time got away from her. So she is kind of in a little bit of a pickle. So you're going to read what happens to Jane. Now, I have some questions here that I gave you that I want you to answer based on Jane's conundrum or her situation that she's in. And I want you to think back in chapter 9 that you read, and I want you to answer these questions about, like, what should she have done differently when developing and planning for her paper. So I don't want you just make things up. I want you to actually use your text to answer these questions. So that means it's evidence-based responses or provide textbook-based responses. And you'll see that that's the instructions I give you at the very top of the assignment. So you're going to have to provide answers based on things that you find in the textbooks. So the textbooks are going to help you answer the questions in chapter 9. What resources should she have used when she's researching her topic? Did she follow the steps to good writing? How can you tell? Well, you're going to be able to find that answer in chapter 9. And then what strategies would you suggest to help Jane work through her fear of public speaking and deliver an effective presentation? So that's going to be one of your assignments for this week. So remember, on case studies, it is about a person's situation, but you have to make sure you're using the text to answer the questions, which will be from chapter 9. You also have your chapter 9 quiz. Something that I added here for you, which is very beneficial for you as a student, is when you're using research, you are going to have to use the library as one of your resources. Now, I don't know if you've been to the main campus library in Morristown, or if you've been to a library near you, or if you've ever been in a library when you were in school, but using library database for research is really important. So what we did here is we have some resources here for you, okay? So if you'll look, underneath assignments, it says library tour and library module quiz. So when you click on it, this is what you'll see that comes up. The first link is taking a virtual library tour. So this is going to open in a new page, and this is built into the Water State Library for you, okay? So you're going to click on all the tabs and read the information. So when you click on it, this is what's going to come up in the link, okay? So how you'll navigate through this is Crystal Johnson. She's actually embedded into our course. If you've ever went into our course and clicked on class list, you might see her name. So she's really wonderful. She's what we call a research coach. So she's a librarian here on the main campus, and she can help you depending on whatever campus extended you are in. She can still help you. So she can have a Teams chat. You can call her. Her number's here. You can email her if you're doing research on a topic, or you're trying to narrow down a topic, or you have questions about how to use the database. She's a really great resource. So she built this for you so that way you can navigate and use this to your advantage as a college student. So you'll look here, you're going to go through this module that she built. Now, at the end of the module, you're going to be able to know what services that they offer to students here within the library. You're going to learn what research actually is, who and what some of the resources can assist you during that process of doing your research. Talks about databases and what they are and the difference between that and then using, say, Google, right, as a search engine. And then she also goes in to talk about what OneDrive is and how you can access and use it. Okay, so that's really the introductory page. Her information is there. She also has other tabs here you'll find that you're going to use and click on to navigate through the module. So the second one is library resources. Okay, so these are all the resources that you as a student at Water State are privy to. So you have, research coaching. It talks about how they can help you with that. How can you use the Water State database for research? You can check out equipment, so you can check out laptops and MiFi, so it talks about that. If you're on a different campus, say you're housed in Sevierville, but you want to check out a book that they have, you can get it sent to the campus near you. So there's information about that. They have textbooks on reserve just for students. That's free of charge for you. They hold a lot of student events that you may want to be a part of. And then they have something called the interlibrary loan. So interlibrary loan is really a service that they provide for us and faculty. So say you have a resource that's, say, at UT campus or ETSU, and we at Water State don't have it. You can get that book sent or that resource sent to Water State or that article sent to you at no charge for you. So that's what we call interlibrary loan. They also have, I don't know if you've ever been on the main campus, but they have lots of things. They have over 25,000 books, like physical books. They have over 225,000 digital books. They have lots of study places, collaborative spaces, group spaces. They have two computer labs. So they also offer free copies and free printing. Okay, so there's lots of information. They also had some information here, the contact. You can follow them on Instagram, Facebook. There's a link here. If you click on it, it tells you who is part of the library staff. Of course, you can email them. Their phone number is listed. And then if you want to call the circulation desk, which is the desk when you first walk into the library to the right, and then you have your reference desk as well. So if you ever ask questions or need something, you can call them. There's another tab that really just goes over frequent questions students may have. So make sure you read through those. So in this, it's talking exactly about research, the most common questions students have, right? So what can a research coach help you with? So what can Crystal do to help you? And you need help on your research. And you don't want to drive all the way to Morristown, so say you're in the Nice Longer or Greenville area. So how can you get assistance? It tells you about that. If you need a certain book or article, what can you do? Can the library help you with technology needs? And then it goes on to talk about the library spaces and then how can you get involved, right? So that's there. The next tab is Research Basics. So this is where you're going to really start to dive into what research is and things that you need to know. For instance, if in Jane's research project, she's going to have to cite her sources. So citing your sources is where you're going to have to give credit to the person who wrote something, right? So you never take credit for something that you did not create on your own or write on your own, or a video that you made on your own, or an audio. So you never take credit. So you always have to cite that source. So there's different styles that professors use. So you have APA style, and then you have MLA style. And they talk about this, and this is something that Crystal can assist you with as well. So there's also kind of a timeline, like an example timeline for how you can stay on, how you can have a time frame and stay in that time frame when you're creating your research project or doing a research project. So that way you make sure that you have enough time to get done. And this is something that Crystal walk with you. You say, hey, my professor just gave this assignment to us today, and this is when it's due. And she can kind of help you create a timeline so you can keep not only within the time frame you're supposed to, so you don't get behind when you're doing it. the most of your time is actually going to be spending doing your research on a research project or paper, right? And then the other half of the time, of course, is going to be writing your essay. But it's important for you to start with the research, and that's really what they're there to help you with. Now, with the writing section, if you have trouble with that, you can also utilize like tutoring or the writing lab, and those folks will help you, especially if writing is not your strong suit. So just make sure that you take advantage of that as well, right? And there's links. So say you're in Sevierville and you want to utilize the writing lab, they have online resources to make appointments, right? Or you can send them your essay, say, hey, this is my assignment, these are the instructions, and this is what I have so far. Like, is this okay? Here's my outline. And they're not going to obviously write this for you, but they're going to help you. And then, of course, there's a link to tutoring services, so you can make a tutoring appointment if you need help as well. Now, the next tab is also talking about research. So this is a big part of the module. This is why she created this. So she's really going to talk and walk you through the differences between using something like Google and then actually using a database. Okay, so this is really important for you to read through. Okay, so when you're doing research, you may have to use academic journals. You may have to use books. So there's lots of different sources, and it really depends on what you're trying to research and what your topic is. And that's going to really help guide the research. So remember, there's a lot of articles that you may want to use as a resource. So be mindful if you're on Google, right, and say you're looking, say your topic is you want to, say you're taking a psychology class and you're talking about depression within elderly people. If you're on the Google website and you're searching, you may see purchase this article, right, and it may cost you $20 to $50 to buy an article. Well, this article may be on the Water State database system, and it could be free to you as a Water State student. So it's really important for you to utilize the database. Now, we're not saying don't ever use Google. Google's a good place to start your research, but that's not where your research needs to end, right? Because a lot of times, if you're doing this for your courses, your instructors are expecting you to use scholarly resources and books and articles and journals. Okay, so she talks more about being reliable resources, right? So authentic resources, people who have expertise in the field, and those are the types of research or sources you should be allocating. Then it talks about gives you a snapshot, if you will, about the database, right? So EBSCOhost is a type of database that they use. So when you're researching, and I want you to get into the Water State, and I'll show you just here in a minute, but I really want you to get into the Water State Library database and play around with it to see if you feel comfortable, right? And of course, they're there to help you as well. But when you are searching databases, think about how there's hundreds of thousands of sources. So you're really going to have to make sure that you are being specific enough. And I want you to think about when you're searching for something, I want you to think about like if you're tagging someone on social media, right? So you don't put a whole bunch of stuff in there. You may put a word or a tag. You kind of need to think that same way when you're researching in the database, right? So this allows you to search for something. So say you're researching mitochondria, right? And what topics deal with that. So you can put mitochondria and you would hit search. And there's going to be many types of databases. So within the databases, there's lots of different ones you can use, right? And it depends on what discipline or subject area you're looking at too. You can become overwhelmed very fast if you're not careful, right? So if you say you're going to use something for your psychology class and you're researching for it, you may want to use a psychology database to help you, right? And this is just going to help you narrow down and make sure you're in the right section. So databases really contain journals, articles, magazines, newspapers, published reports, conferences, transcripts, etc. And these are people who are experts in their field, right? So they've been vetted. That's why you use databases, because they're high quality, authentic, experts, reliable. So that's what you want to do. Okay. So A to Z databases, you'll see here. Here's another example. You need to make sure you're using the best database for your actual topic. So for instance, we're using A to Z databases. We type in agriculture, right? Or we choose agriculture from the drop-down menu. You'll see here it says that 5 databases were found for agriculture. Okay, so then you would pick which one of these you would rather use. So there's an agriculture collection, which would be a very good choice. And then you have Biological Agriculture Index Plus. So that would also be another great choice for you to use. So just make sure you don't become overwhelmed. And that's another thing I wanted to mention. If you have a topic, but it's too broad of a topic and you're kind of undecided, or you don't really know how to narrow your topic, they can help you do that as well. So if we go back, after you navigate, okay, so the last one here is OneDrive, and she's going to talk about how OneDrive is really, it's like a cloud, and a cloud for saving your work. Okay, this is something that's free to all students that are for Water State students. And she has a really neat video here that tells you how and walks you through how to log into your OneDrive account and how you can access it. So say you have a group project. You guys could be able to log into say you're at the library and someone is working on a project and they send it to you. You can open it up, right, because you're using your senator's email account, and then you can save stuff and print it off from wherever you are, even if you don't have your computer. So this is a really good, important thing for you to utilize here as a student at Water State. Now, once you go through the module, there is a library module quiz that's really going to test your understanding of the library services. Now, I just want to note, this is an extra credit opportunity for you. So you can gain up to 5 bonus points for completing this quiz. It is not part of the regular grading. However, you will get an extra 5 points should you do the quiz, or up to extra 5 points. So that is going to be your assignments. I wanted to take a minute and go back up here. So we talked about the resources, we talked about your assignments, the opportunity to get an extra bonus, and even if you don't do the module quiz to earn 5 points or up to 5 points, I really encourage you to use the library tour. This is a wonderful resource. So other resources that you have to really help you navigate this chapter is looking at these videos. So the videos are not very long, but they're very informative and really can help you connect further and develop a deeper understanding of the chapter. So if you look here, I have some videos. So the first one is, what is information literacy? So this gives you a broad overview of what it means and defines information literacy, right? So those are the 3 that we talked about. Information literacy is comprised of computer literacy, media literacy, and cultural literacy. The second video is going to help you, and I would only watch this after I did the library module tour because it's going to make a little more sense. But this is talking about how do you evaluate sources to make sure it's the right kind of source for you. The next one is guides to citing sources. So here is something that the library has on the library homepage, and I will show you that in just a minute. But the library homepage is a really great resource for you. Now, I said when you do research, you are going to have to cite your sources, right? So you have to give that person credit because you're using their work. So a lot of times you're going to have to do not only in-text citations where you have to cite within your paper or PowerPoint, but you're also going to have to do a works cited page where you list all your references or your cite sources at the end of your project or paper. Okay, so I want to note to you that there are there are different types of format, but the two most common that you're going to see in college is going to be the MLA and the APA. So different areas that use MLA would be like in your literature classes, your English classes, maybe philosophy, art, or religion. Those types of courses are going to require you most often to use MLA. So there's a link to the MLA guide about, and this is really nice for you because it tells you how to use in-text citations, how to format your paper, and how to complete your works cited page. There's also APA. So APA is really going to be in the disciplines like psychology, education, health sciences, business, sociology, criminal justice, political science. Those are courses that are going to require you to use APA when you're citing your sources. So it's important for you to click on the correct guide depending on what class you're in. That way you can cite them correctly. Now keep in mind that whenever you have your assignment, your instructor should tell you which guide they want you to use. So which type of citation. Should you cite your work using MLA or should you use APA? Okay, so I said that there's a lot of other ones you could use, like Chicago is another type of way to cite your sources. But, that's not one that's most common. Here at Water State, you're going to either see MLA or APA. There is another link here that's really helpful, another site called Purdue OWL. I would make sure that I tab this on my actual computer, okay, because this is a really good resource for you. Okay, so I have it up here. So Purdue OWL is a wonderful resource for you when you have to cite sources and you're doing research, so citations. So I use APA, but they also have MLA, depending on what you like or what your professors specify. So if you'll see here on Research and Citation tab, which is where you'll be, okay, it lists the different styles they have, like APA, ASA, AMA, IEEE style, Chicago style, right? MLA style. I will preface to you, if you are using APA, make sure you click on the latest edition, which is the 7th edition. Okay. So if you look here, there's an introduction about what APA style is. There is an overview and a workshop link, and then there's a format and style guide for you as well, which is really what you need to concentrate on. So in the APA guide under Purdue OWL, you're going to see you have the general format of what it looks like. So this is just going to be guidelines when you're writing papers. So it'll talk about what should your header look like, what should it look like if you have a running head. If you have to have numbers on your page, it talks about the different kinds of fonts, that all readers will be able to read and it's accessible. It talks about what fonts you should use when you're typing your paper. And then it goes through the different major sections of the paper and what should be included when you are using research and citations. So normally there's 4 main sections of your paper. You're going to have your title page. Sometimes the instructor may ask for an abstract. Then you'll have your main body paper, and then, of course, your closing with your references. So this really walks you through each section of the paper, right? And then it even gives you examples of a title page, an abstract page. Then it gives you an example of how do you cite them. So when you're citing your sources, to the left here, you're going to see different links on this menu here, this content menu. And that's going to kind of allow you to click through different types of ways that you want to do a reference. So if you're referencing books, you click on that. Electronic sources, if you have to do audio-visual media, there's a way that you're going to cite it. If you're doing in-text citations, it gives you kind of the format to follow here, right? So how should you do an in-text citation and what the suggestions are to do it, or how do you do it, and when do you use quotations. So just make sure that you read through this. This is a wonderful resource, and again, it's called Purdue Online Writing Lab, and it is listed here in the library where it says Guide to Citing Sources. Okay, so one thing that's also going to be useful to you is underneath Guides to Citing Sources, you have Kahoot for library services. Make sure that you do that. This is a really good quiz. You have to click open in new window. When you do, it'll click up like this. It'll generate a funny nickname for you. Like I took the quiz and it gave me Kahoot. Then it said Lovely Chicken. So my name generated was Lovely Chicken. So that would be my nickname. So you'll just spin it when you start, and then it'll give you a generic nickname. And then you will start your quiz, and then it will ask you 15 questions, right? This will only make sense if you've already went through the module quiz and you've done the library bonus point quiz as well. So I'd wait till I finished all of the sections and resources before I decided to do the Kahoot. But this is just great feedback to see if you really understand about evaluating sources and information literacy. So the last resource that I want you to use, of course, is your PowerPoint. So here's your PowerPoint. It goes along really well with your Chapter 9 in the textbook. So if you read Chapter 9 and then you research and you look at your PowerPoint, this is really going to go along really well with it to help you and gain a better understanding of the content. So that's what I have for you. If you have any questions about anything this week, just go ahead and email me. I'll be glad to jump on Teams with you or a phone conversation. So just whatever you need. But please make sure that you read the chapter because it's important for you to gain the understanding as well of what it means to really hone in on the skill that all employers are looking for. Can you collect, evaluate, and what do you do when you have the information and how do you use it? This is something that is central to your learning, but in everyday life, as far as if you're staying here and graduating or going into a four-year university. And even employers are wanting you to use this skill. So this is a very important chapter. All right, and you have a chance to earn up to 5 bonus points as well. Okay, guys, until next time, take care.